Every time a bird fell in the marsh, his dog, the bird-hunting dog, just ran upon the water like Jesus. Ran upon the water, picked up the bird and brought it back, picked up the bird and brought it back, every time. The friend was looking at Shankaran Pillai for the effect. Shankaran Pillai was just looking bored and looking at this whole thing. Then after many forays like this, the dog actually walking, running on the water, picking up the bird and coming back. Then what to do with these Indian guys who are not impressed with miracles because they come from a country which has seen too many miracles and claims of miracles all over the place, that he's not impressed. Then his friend asked, "What do you think about my dog?" Shankaran Pillai said, "The damn thing cannot even swim." What do I do? So you clear your own doubts. If you have doubts, you clear it. It's been long enough, I've been around. If you have doubts, you work it. If you have questions, not doubtful questions, questions to enhance something, please, let's go to the questions.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. This is the day Adi Yogi became the Adi Guru, but before him, was there no way for seekers to access the dimension of Guru?
Well, we have spoken sometimes before, but anyway, now that you asked the question, this will again inflame the social media. See, as per certain astronomical events, and also certain geological events in terms of how they describe the geography, and in terms of certain major geological events that happened when a certain mountain blew its volcanic top. If by looking at these things, for example, there are Vedas, the Rigveda, of the 4 books, people should not misunderstand, because when I say a book, people understand that an entire religion is packed in a book. No, in the East it's not like that. Because there is no belief system, it is not packed in a book. Vedas were essentially the only library that they had at the time. So everything that they knew, they wrote it down. Vedas talk about how to build a very efficient bullock cart, how to raise a particular crop, how to manage water in the village, and also talks about how to realize oneself. Essentially, it was a one-book library. All the knowledge they had, they packed it into one book. Today, if you walk into a library, anywhere, particularly in United States, probably it'll have 2-3 million books or more. I'm just estimating, I walked into some libraries and I looked around, how many could be there? I have not checked exactly, but easily over 1 or 2 million books could be there. Because everybody can write a book now, you know everybody can write a book. How I escaped or how I fought through the pandemic times, I think a lot of books are going to come now, everybody will write. So those days it is not like that. Knowledge was gathered, a farmer discovered something about agriculture, the wise men in the town or in that culture noted, oh, this is important, they wrote it into one book. In the same book, a yogi realized something, he spoke about something of great significance, that also was put right next to the farmer's realization of how to grow a crop. So it is a one-book library. Looking at some of the astronomical events that they recorded, one important thing is, it is estimated it could be over 100,000 years ago. One important aspect that we have to note is, there is no mention of Himalayas in the Rigveda. They're talking about all the other mountain ranges in the Indian subcontinent. There is no mention of Himalayas. When you talk about mountains anywhere in the world, you cannot ignore Himalayas. There is no way. Those of you who have not traveled to Himalayas, especially if you are born in India and have not traveled to Himalayas, you must pack your stuff, you must get there as quickly as possible. It's something that you cannot miss. It is literally an endless mountain. I know there is a mountain in United States called Endless Mountain. Not like that. This is really, really endless mountain. The immensity of it is simply overwhelming for any human being. There are various other dimensions to it, leaving that. So there is no mention of Himalayas, especially when you're talking about mountain systems in the subcontinent. How can you ignore Himalayas? They did not ignore it because it was not there. Himalayas is of a recent origin. It has grown because the subcontinent plate is crashing into the main Central Asian plate and it's going up, it's still a growing mountain. So it dates back to that time. Was everything written at one time? No. This book might have grown in its volume over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, we don't know. But definitely it dates back to that kind of time. So we started talking about 15,000 years, not because that is the date, because we have some iconographic proof that 12,000 years ago, there was an image of Adiyogi on the coins that they made. Based on this, we are saying around 15,000. But all other things say it was much beyond. So much beyond means, in most part of the world at that time, most people were still hanging from the trees. There was no need for any spiritual teaching or methodology because literally everybody across the planet was fighting for their survival. They did not think of anything more than how to survive this day. But fortunately, as Himalayas grew and the land got protected by the mountains, no invaders, no rampaging hordes came from anywhere else. As this happened, those 5, 6, 7,000 years of peaceful existence happened. That is when the seekers came, because now they had a stable life, they had mastered agriculture to some extent. Because of that, they started living in one place, food was stored up and kept, every day you didn't have to go hunting. Now, human mind started looking what more. That's when the seeking happened. So the question of before Adiyogi, was there no possibility? Maybe there was, but definitely there was no organized approach to it. What Adiyogi gave is not that we do not know, that he is the first one to realize. Maybe others realized but had no means to express it, no knowledge to express it, no, a profound sense of understanding to put it out as a science. So Adiyogi opened up this possibility that every human being can enhance himself or herself if they are willing to strive. This is the most important aspect of his life. For the first time, a clear statement that you are not a fixed life. You are not a fixed life like other creatures on this planet. All other creatures are fixed between two lines, that's all their life is. The possibility of what they can be is fixed. Adiyogi came and opened this doorway to a larger world that you are not a fixed life. If you're willing to strive, there are possibilities beyond what you consider as natural limitations of life. So this possibility of evolution, conscious evolution, is the significant contribution of Adiyogi. And it is not just a statement, there is an entire method. Not one method, 112 methods for every kind of human being. Looking at the human mechanism in its entirety and exploring all possibilities of it. Does it mean to say no individual could have not realized before him? They might have, but we have not heard of them, they are not recorded, they have no teaching, they have no method that's been passed on. So, because they were not… See, if you look back today in terms of anthropology or archaeology, if you look at it in terms of archaeology, what do they usually find? They find some pottery, some scratchings like… which are called art on caves, cave walls. A carved rock also wears out, but pottery, burnt clay, it stays. Bricks and pottery stays. So usually this is what you find. But a human being realized, that is not a pottery, that is not a monument, so you archaeologists will not find it. If you look at further out into the thing about looking at human bones, human skeleton somewhere, well, your enlightenment will not be shining in your bones that you see after 10,000 years of 25,000 years of whatever. So because of that, there is no record, but because Adiyogi started a tradition, he trained these 7 fantastic human beings to take it around the world, and he spread them so that if they all go to one place, it may live there for some time and die. So he spread them to different parts of the world so that it lives in its various dimensions and forms. Because of that, it still lives. Well, Adiyogi also did not write a book, he only spoke to them. I don't think even the Saptarishis wrote it down, they also spoke to people. Much further down, we don't know how much further down, somebody started writing down these things. But because they managed to produce such highly dedicated human beings, that is, those human beings who took their guru as their dharma, his energy flowed in their bodies, it's his breath that they were breathing. Because of that, without distortions largely it came, till the printing press came. After the modern printing press came, all kinds of ridiculous interpretations of this happened. There was there is… I have a lot of books at home. Most of them, 95% or more, I've never opened them. Just to make me look little educated, in case anybody visits. Real books, not just fake ones, real books. The only things I've read among them is some novels, some books on history, but none of the other things I've read. But obviously, people keep bringing books to me, they think they need to educate me on yoga. Because they can clearly see I'm illiterate and I'm going on about yoga. So some book was given to me, excuse me. On art paper with lots of diagrams, but it's printed on art paper with lots of diagrams, pictures and everything. So yesterday, for some reason, I was near the bookshelf and I saw Yoga Sutras. This problem came because, our new book is titled as Karma Sutras. The publishers are having a problem because they think people will read it as Kama Sutras. I said, maybe in America only people have heard of Kama Sutras, but there is Yoga Sutras, there is Shiva Sutras, there is Brahma Sutras, there are various sutras. Sutra means it is in that kind of a form, that it is a thread that holds things together. So I'm still trying to convince the publisher, the sutra word must be there because long term this will make a difference. It's unfortunate, in United States people have heard of only Kama Sutra. So I saw this Yoga Sutra book and I picked it up and, I always open the book in some middle page. I don't start from the beginning because I can never stand those introductions. So some page I open and, they have put the Sanskrit form of the Yoga Sutra, then the English version of it, and this author, whoever, I didn't see whether it's an Indian author or an American author, but going about explaining these Yoga Sutras in such a horribly ridiculous way, ludicrous. Then I just saw one page and I said, hats off to this man's confidence. Recently, one of the quotes said, confidence and stupidity are a dangerous combination or something like this, and they often come together. So 3-4 days it's been on the Twitter, negative tweets on me. How I don't understand what is confidence and what is… 3 days there is trending tweets against me because confidence and stupidity goes together. Well, this man is a real example of confidence and stupidity going together absolutely. He read the English words, whoever translated it, he read those English words and he thought he got the Yoga Sutras. Maybe never even closed his eyes for 2 minutes in his life, but he got the Yoga Sutras. And most ludicrous explanation of what this sutra is about. Well, this is what Adiyogi meant to change because he made sure that these 7 people absolutely invested themselves in him before anything happened. This is a little difficult in 21st century, but fortunately, in many ways, we're doing even better than Adiyogi because we have more than 7 people. More than 7 people. And I don't know the exact number, I think it was 11 or 21. When Gautama was to attain his Mahaparinirvana, after he was poisoned, he knew he won't make it. So he couldn't sit up, so he was lying down. And he said, only those who have realized should be with me at this point. Others, because they will waste time about being concerned about, oh, he's dying and somebody will start crying and somebody will try to bring a doctor, all this. So he wanted only those who realized. I'm not sure about the number, because in some places I think they said 11, in certain other places I saw it was 21, so I'm not really sure about that. But whatever, let's say 21 people gathered. Well, Jesus, the Last Supper, when he knows in some way that his life is coming to an end, only 12 people gathered and it is actually 11. It's a deceptive dozen. So, like this, Krishna, such a fantastic being, only one. That sense we're doing very well. Do I have more than 11, 12, 21? Yes, I think. This is because one thing is, all those great beings, the contributions that they made, and the cultures that they created. Well, some people became fan clubs, fighting against each other, Shiva fan club fighting against Krishna fan club, or rather Krishna fan clubs fighting against Shiva fan clubs, Rama fan clubs fighting against Krishna fan clubs. Recently there was a big controversy because somebody who does only Ram Katha in the country, that he speaks only of Ram, it seems said something derogatory or people perceived it as derogatory to Krishna, and there was a big uproar about that. So there are fan clubs which will fight, but there are sensible people who understand these different streams of knowledge which float through traditions, and out of that, people have evolved to a certain level of understanding, certain level of receptivity, and also because the population, nobody had 7.4 billion population, all right? None of those great beings had this kind of population, so naturally we must have a little more numbers around us than they had, because our population must have multiplied, I don't know, maybe 10,000 times since Adiyogi. I'm not sure, I can't make a calculation. But from the beginning of 20th century, we have gone up what, from 1.6 billion to 7.6 billion or 7.5 billion, whatever it is. So that is literally 4 times or nearly 5 times up. So you can imagine 15,000 years ago what was human population and what it is today. So we must multiply 7 into that many, we can't take credit because we just have too many people. So now the aspiration, the seeds of aspiration, we've been sowing for last many years. Fortunately, we also have tools of communication that nobody ever had in the history of humanity, that we can communicate to the whole world. Right now, it's estimated that we have touched over 1 billion people, at least 1 billion people have watched more than 2 or 3 videos. This will multiply into 2 to 3 billion in the next 1 or 2 years' time. So this advantage nobody else had. So we cannot gloat about the numbers, we need to have many-fold more who will make their guru, their dharma, that is, their very breath and body breathes the guru. Then it's very easy, life becomes very easy. I don't have to work hard, you know.
Namaskaram,
See,
Sadhguru.
the Indian people are slow, they're getting it slow. Almost 30 seconds after I say anything, then their face brightens up. Why are you guys so slow? See, they still didn't get it. Ah, they got it. So
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. I just came back home after spending 3 months of lockdown in the ashram, and I am forever grateful to you and everyone there who give themselves so totally. I'm back home and I feel I owe it to my guru and to the people there to help. On this Guru Purnima, I would like to ask Sadhguru, what can I do for my guru?
Is this Adiyogi asking the question? Is it Adiyogi asking the question? What can you do for your guru? Oh. I think they already had the question ready in their head. They didn't listen to me, what I was saying all this time. Anyway, what can you do? Well, you don't have to do anything to him, because he is not him or her, nor is he this or that. So you can't do this or that to him. You leave him alone. But you're striving for your well-being. He is striving for everybody's well-being. If you can expand your striving from being my well-being to a larger well-being, well, it would make his life little easy. And he could be a little better failure than what it is looking like right now. When I say little better failure, you know I've spoken many times. When I was 25, when I realized if I don't mess with my mind, I can be ecstatic any moment of my life. When I realized this, and when I experimented in so many ways, in various kinds of situations, it doesn't matter where I am, in what kind of conditions I am, if I just take my hand off my mind, I'm just bursting with ecstasy. Then I knew this is it. I thought I was the first one to discover. I am like Columbus. Columbus discovered America. Well, before him, for thousands of years, people have been living here, but he discovered. Similarly, in the Indian school textbooks, we read, Vasco da Gama discovered India. This Portuguese guy came and discovered India. No, it was there before that. We've been there for thousands of years before that as a well-organized culture, but he discovered us. Just like that, I discovered that if I don't mess with my mind, I'm ecstatic. Because right from my very early age, I must tell you, somewhere deep inside I've been so arrogant that I never read anything. I thought, or I didn't even think, because life engaged me. From a very early age, plants, animals, tadpoles, frogs, fishes, insects engage me so deeply, and of course, cobras, they engage me so deeply that I never thought it's necessary to open a book and read it. So definitely I did not read the Yoga Sutras. Though I was practicing yoga, intensely practicing yoga, but never bothered to read Yoga Sutras. I remember when I went to Malladihilli Swami's ashram for my first stint of yoga, many years later, after things happened to me, I remembered, always there were books on yoga, written by him and also other things, Yoga Sutras written in Kannada. I still remember that it was a library with hardly 30-40 books, so I remember almost all the titles that were there. But I never bothered to pull out one damn thing and read it. Because life kept me engaged. What was happening within me, what was happening around me, kept me fully engaged. I never thought I had to open and read something. Except the compulsory books, like textbooks. That also I read only 35% of it because I was only aiming to get 35%. So I never read the Yoga Sutras, nowhere did I come across Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This I heard many years later. So when I realized that if I don't mess with my mind, I'm just ecstatic, and it can be very easily done. and I knew how to do it. I sat down and made a plan, a real plan. In 2.5 years' time, I will make the whole world ecstatic. Still, you're still sitting there and gaping at me. 38 years, huh? Well, here and there we see tears of ecstasy, but not the whole world, it's not happened. So we're still striving. And people are so invested in their miseries. You know, I never imagined that people would be so invested in their miseries. Things that cause enormous distress to them, they're so invested, they will not leave it, no matter what. I did not realize this when I was 25. I thought, if you give a better option, everybody will jump. But no, they won't leave the familiar because they are so horribly invested in their insecurities and miseries. So, having said that, but as I said, we are not doing very badly. We are definitely going to fail in my lifetime. I don't feel that way, but you can see, it's in the evening. This is not the morning of my life, towards the evening. Not at sunset, there is still a lot more. You know, before sunset there are a lot of colors, all right? It's the grandest time for the sun in terms of scenery. So still there is a lot of scenery, but in terms of time, energy and the size of the population, we know we will die of failure. If you can increase my percentage, if you can be a part of increasing this percentage, in whichever way possible, constantly on it. Not one day when you come visit the yoga center, you are constantly on it according to your capacity. I am not asking you to do the same things that somebody else is doing or I am doing, to your capacity, if this matters to you. Now you said, these 3 months lockdown, I really enjoyed Isha Yoga Center. In many ways, Isha Yoga Center in India and also here many people did not walk in before the lockdown, but there over 3,000 people, and the amount of work we are doing in the villages with not a single infection, everybody absolutely safe, a large premises where people can move around, all protocols followed, sadhana happening wonderfully. Weather cooperated, pre-monsoon rains came early and eased the summer off pretty easy. With all this, last 3 months have been wonderful. I must tell you this. In the last 40 years or more, probably, in the last 45 years, I've never stayed home for more than 12 to 15 days ever. The first time I stayed home, slept on the same bed for over 85 days. It's been very good. Been eating good food, sleeping well, no travel. Well, it's been good for you, I'm glad, but you need to understand this. This goodness that you experience, for this, there are so many people out there, hundreds of them, who are incessantly working just for this one thing, that it must happen to more people than what is there right now. So if you want to do something for me, this is what you should do. How do I do? You tell me, what is your capability? If you have time, we will tell you what you can do. If you have some other talent or capability, we will tell you what you can do. If you have money, we will tell you what you can do. That's the easiest thing. Because all these things are needed. We need a striving from a significant population so that we will be better failures than right now the trajectory is. And we are going to make sure that in the next few years, we will definitely hit a higher trajectory. And if you want to be a part of it, If you want to put your energies into it, whatever you have, you can put it as a part of this. Many things are going on right now. One thing is, the online inner engineering program is being offered at a discounted price for everybody and free for all the medical personnel. I'm glad to see that nearly 85,000 medical personnel have made use of it till now in the last 3 years. It's fantastic. I hope it's keeping them up. Many of them are sharing what a difference it's made in these hard times for them, because it's been a very trying situation. This is also available for police officers. Over, I think nearly about 170 police officers have died in India of COVID because they were the main enforcers of lockdowns. Probably nowhere else in the world lockdown was enforced so rigidly as India did. So numbers speaks for that in many ways, for the concentration of population there is. And the medical staff is being stretched to the limits. Many of them have not gone home for a month or two. They are staying in hotel rooms and serving in the hospitals because they're afraid their families will get it. A lady doctor in Delhi was sharing this, unfortunately, that her husband had diabetes, so they made sure he never steps out of the house, he was kept safe at home. But she was serving in the hospital, and a few days she came home to repack her clothes and stuff like that, you know. You have to wash your clothes, you have to do things, there is chores to do. So she came home a few times and he died. She was sharing on the video, it was most heartrending, that she said, it's me who did this to him. He did not even step out of the house, but I brought it home. So these kind of things are happening to people. So, we are offering all this. If you have to offer something free, you must understand all of us have to work extra to keep the free thing going. A whole lot of people thinks it just falls out of the sky. That's not how it is. So as a part of this, now they've started this movement called Sangamitra. More details can be had on the website. This is about… many people have always told me, Sadhguru, how can we contribute? But till now, as a rule, I've never openly asked for money. Only when this virus situation struck and I saw people were beginning to starve around us, I said, please, we need money. And fortunately, people responded. We are able to cook for 13 to 15,000 people every day. Still it's going on for last 3 months. And our boys are out there in the villages serving every one of them. This may not be understood in many parts of the world what it means, but in India, the daily wagers, if they don't go to work for a week or 2 weeks, they have run out, their economy is over. The only way is to starve. I could not believe in rural India that this was beginning to happen. We thought this would be an urban phenomena, but in rural India when it started happening, we reached out and many people have been contributing. Now, there are various aspects to this. We don't want to take up too many social causes, but of course Kaveri calling is there. In spite of the pandemic, the work on the ground has been happening as it should happen. Over 11 million saplings are going to be planted now in the monsoon time in farmlands. This is not in some barren land, this is in farmlands planted by the farmer, so you can expect 90 to 100% survival rate because it is being grown as a crop, not as a forest. So, tree-based agriculture is taking root, which is a long-term well-being for the farmers. And we are also looking at how to make at least 1/3 of human diet should come from the trees. This must happen everywhere. We are looking at making this happen in the Kaveri belt to start with, but this is necessary that at least 1/3 of the food should come from trees. And if you want to go into the statistics, We are… we are starting… we are in the process of laying out a movement called Conscious Planet. All our plans have been pushed a little bit. This is about making people conscious, because that's the only problem we have. Unconscious human beings are the only problem you have on this planet. Even now, this pandemic flying around the country, flying around the world like this is basically because of unconscious human beings. If only human beings were a little more conscious, very easily we could have contained this. All it takes is, if today, Guru Purnima, all of us take this step, the entire human population, for next 15 days, 14 to 15 days, we don't come in contact with anybody, just sit by yourself. Finished, pandemic is over in the world, this many people need not die, economies of nations need not be ruined, people need not be put to such hardship. All this is not necessary if only we were conscious. So one thing is to become conscious about how we are within ourselves, another is to be conscious about… because another pandemic is unfolding itself rapidly, which is the ecological pandemic. Well, this could take many more lives than the virus will take. Much bigger disasters and much bigger challenges are just not even next generation, in this generation they're waiting if we don't do the right things. So, I don't want to go into that detail today, but there are movements like this. So we are looking at how people can participate. You can contribute 5 rupees, 10 rupees, but on a steady basis, depending upon the volume of finance we have. Because we have never surrendered our cause and the freedom of functioning as an unprejudiced organization to any major corporate or major funding. This is the reason why we don't have any major funding, because most of the major funding comes with strings, unfortunately. So, our contributions have always been like this from people. So, we are looking how to make this happen, so that one thing is to take this possibility of how a human being can generate the quality of his life or her life from within themselves. The quality of your life is determined by within, not by outside. If this one thing happens, that you know how to be blissful by your own nature, if this happens to at least 60% of the population, there will be no ecological challenge. You must understand, ecological challenge is a consequence of human beings in search of well-being, ripping the planet apart. If well-being is guaranteed, human beings will naturally function in a much more conscious way. As a part of this, you can be a part of the Sangha which is striving. You don't have to do anything for me. See, people are taking care of food. Last 2-3 lifetimes, food was always a problem. We were starved out. This life I'm well fed. My needs are small, but I'm well fed. So you don't have to do anything to me. Rest of it is just paraphernalia. With or without it, we can live. We have no issues about that. So you don't bother about doing anything to me. One thing is, your first commitment is, you're striving to become a blissful being. That's your first striving. Your second striving is how to support this striving that I have, to see that everybody becomes blissful. In this process, in which way you can participate, please participate. I will… the Sangamitra is there, you can contact and see how, in how many different ways you can participate and make this happen. Let's make this happen. This is our life, this is our time on the planet. What wonderful things we do is left to us, or what we don't do is also left to us, and what horrible things we do to each other is also left to us.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. You have told us a beautiful story of Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramhansa. Swami Vivekananda's mother was seriously ill, and Ramakrishna told him that had Vivekananda prayed to Kali for his mother's health, Ramakrishna would never see him again. Sadhguru, what is so wrong about praying for one's mother's health that a guru would never see his disciple again?
Now you're exposing how horrible the gurus are. See, there are many aspects to our life. Of these many aspects, a guru means, I know that word guru is being used loosely today, management guru, marketing guru and whatever. We are not using the word in that context. When we say a guru, we are talking about someone who is committed to the ultimate nature of who you are. Well, Ramakrishna saying what he said, he wouldn't have said it to all the other hundreds of devotees who are hanging around. He says this only to Vivekananda, you must understand. Because he wouldn't talk about taking your emotions for your mother or your help or seeking divine help for your mother's health. For other people, he would have said, okay, go and pray. But for Vivekananda, he has set different standards. Because he's expecting this man to do something much more than what others will do. If he has to do those things, he should not be an asking fool. That he is not somebody who stands in front of the Devi and asks, I want this, I want that. So, for your mother's health, what he that moment needed was money. So he wants to go and ask for money. If money doesn't work, what's the next thing? You ask for a miracle. If miracle doesn't work, what is the next thing? You will ask him to raise the dead. Well, Ramakrishna knows the progression of human mind. Initially, you will say, my mother should be healthy, but she fell ill. Then you will say, I should have the money to get her treated. It didn't work. Then you want a miracle. Simply like that, she became well. Didn't work, she died. Then you want to raise the dead. So Ramakrishna, in one moment, he's seeing through this nature. And above all, he is looking at, he's preparing Vivekananda to be his instrument. And he wants a fine instrument, not a crusty one. So, preparing his instrument, is it more important than Vivekananda's mother? This is not one against the other. But see, today even you, here in United States, know who was Ramakrishna's guru. Do you know his father's name? Do you know his mother's name? Do you know his uncle, his brother? You know only his guru's name. Because for Vivekananda, Ramakrishna has become his dharma. He breathes him. But now, social pressure, he is falling back. Should the guru allow him to fall him back or push him forward? This is the question you're asking. Well, if I was Vivekananda, I want to be pushed forward, not fall back upon my emotions. And anyway, if money could save her life, I'm sure Ramakrishna would have provided something. But You're seeking divine help? No, no, no. This is something all of you must understand. This has happened a few times around me also, that you initiate somebody into a powerful process, next thing is they want to help their mother or their uncle or their close cousin. They want to make him pass examination because the fool has not studied properly. Or they want him to get a lottery. Or they want him to get miraculously sit up in the bed where he is dying. The moment they do that, they will shatter everything within themselves. If, I'm saying, this is a conjecture, if Vivekananda had prayed for what he thought he wanted, well, he would have become a psychological wreck. Absolutely. So it's Guru's business to see that that doesn't happen. But 21st century, very hard to make them listen. Vivekananda, 20th century. 19th century only there was so much trouble. You can imagine my troubles. People will go, sit in front of Devi and ask all kinds of things. Because they were doing it with Dhyanalinga, I put her up and say, okay, you have another counter to ask all these things. Because wherever there is a phenomenal sense of energy which is propelling you forward at a certain pace, then when you're moving at that speed, if you… because you're concerned about the tree, you held the tree, your arm will go. You will lose something, it will shatter you, it will break you. So Ramakrishna is wanting him to be a rocket, and the rocket wants to do this. No, rocket trajectory is already set. You don't try to do this and that. That will be a disastrous rocket. So in that context, he is saying that if you had done this, it was finished between you and me because you were anyway a broken failure rocket, a failed rocket. Does anybody go and pick it up? You may be thinking it'll go to the moon and you fired it, but it went into the ocean. Does anybody go looking for it? No, it's finished, it's over, it's burnt up. So, in that context, Ramakrishna is saying, today, if you had done that, it was over because it would be not worth seeing you because you would be broken and you're gone. What do I do with a broken instrument? Today you have heard of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa because of Vivekananda. If that instrument was broken on that day, well, Ramakrishna's offering to the world would have gone completely waste. Well, I'm glad you didn't pick up Krishna, because Krishna said, when Arjuna said, I don't want to kill all these people, 100,000 men they're talking about. Krishna said, you must kill them, then you will realize. That is even a worse example, but that's the way it is. Because when you seek ultimate nature, when you seek the source of your existence, small things, arrangements in your existence doesn't mean anything. If it means something, you do something to somebody, not because it means something to me. Let me tell you this, today is Guru Purnima, I'll tell you, don't tell anybody, okay? Whatever I'm doing, serving food to people who are starving, free education that's going on to thousands of children, so health support, the health initiatives that are going on for people who are deprived of that, and planting trees, Kaveri, all this I'm doing because it means a lot to them, not because it means anything to me. If I close my eyes, I'm done with the world. with everybody. I'm talking not just about you or somebody, everybody. Everybody, that means everybody. If I close my eyes, they're all gone, they're dead. But I do these things because it means so much to them. Without fulfilling those things, they will never even aspire for anything bigger. Right now somebody is hungry, are you going to talk to him about enlightenment? That'll be cruel. So we feed him, not because I get some great satisfaction in feeding him, no. I've always been saying, I have no satisfaction in anything that I do, including spiritual work. Whenever people ask me, Sadhguru, you must be having so much fulfillment seeing all these people joyful, blissful, what is my problem? They're joyful, blissful, miserable, what's my problem? I have no problem. Because they have a problem, I reach out. Because I didn't see them anything other than as myself, I reached out, that's all. But if I shut my eyes, I'm done. I'm done with the world, I'm done with everybody and everything. Oh, so much work has happened, people are saying, how will you… who will carry your legacy, Sadhguru? Who will you appoint next? Nobody. If they're interested, they'll carry it on. If they don't think it's valuable, they'll drop it, it's up to them. I leave it to them. If they have not seen the value, if people have not seen the value of what's being done, let them drop it and convert this into a hospital or a school or something. Because that is how most spiritual organizations end up. I don't believe Isa Yoga Center will end up that way because many people have seen the value of it. Even though I constantly nag them, trouble them, create impediments to their work, make their work more and more difficult. This is not for any sadistic satisfaction, just to see how much it means to them. They have proven that it means a lot to them. Life or death, they will do that. Whether I am there or not, they will do that. So, maybe not everybody, but a whole lot of them will do that. So it will continue.